Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to your New York City crime slash fire news for Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. We have a lot to get into in terms of crime. There's only one fire that I have to report. Sad story from the Bronx that actually involved the high winds that came through our area back on Sunday. But of course, we're leading off with New York 1. No mention of any of the crime. You know, there have been so many incidents being reported in Brooklyn the past couple of days that I will get into from AM New York, because I want to have this a little more organized, I guess. So, look at this. I mean, this is just a joke that this is New York 1. This is New York 1. I understand that, they expanded the vaccine eligibility, and that's great, I know a lot of my friends who are above 30 and haven't gotten their turn yet. I'm hoping they can get an appointment. And my other friends who haven't been eligible yet, they're going to be eligible next week. But, students exempt from regions. Okay, I guess that's a big deal since my mom used to be a board member of the UFT. So, let me see what else I can find here. See, look at this. Judge orders New York to vaccinate prison loopholes. Well, at least they talked about the, anti-Asian incidents lately. And there are a lot of them we're going to get to. There's so many of them, but... And then look. Another woman has accused Cuomo. See, that's technically a crime in a sense, but... let's take a look at the public safety page and see if they even brought up the fight that happened. There was a bar fight in Whitestone. It was covered very well by the other media outlets. Ooh, okay, this is a big deal. I didn't see this on I didn't even see this in the Queen's Courier. Okay, I'll have to read that. Police investigating vehicles vandalized in Astoria. Wow. So at least New York 1 covered something. Yep, but nothing about the bar fight. Nothing about it. Like, let's just check Queens. Let's just check Queens. I'll even check the Bronx, because you would think that they would talk about the fire that happened in the Bronx. Nope. Nothing. 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 This is a complete joke. This is a complete joke. In fact, here's a good idea. I'll check News 12 the Bronx. I'll check the Bronx. Oh, so the special elections in the Bronx didn't have a winner. That's interesting. The city council. But you know what? I'll just check New York News 12 the Bronx. So they do have a, let's check. Ooh, they even have fire here. Okay, nothing on... Well, let me just check the homepage. Okay, this is New Jersey. Oh, boy. Alright, let's see if News 12 the Bronx actually has it. You gotta be kidding me. See, this is what makes... Even News 12 the Bronx is a joke. I mean, look at this. Nothing about the fire in the Bronx. Let's see. See, here's crime. Here's crime. Alright, so at least they have some crime news on here, but nothing about this, but... Yikes, this is disturbing. I'll have to read this after. Let's go to our first story before I get completely off track here. This is from New York 1, believe it or not, because apparently Astoria, you know how the demographic up there. I don't need to get into it. But let's just read this. Okay, here we go. Police investigating after 17 cars were vandalized in Astoria. So this happened on... Looks like it happened on Friday night going into Saturday. Wow. So it looks like New York 1 was the only one that covered it. Okay, so New York One got exclusive pictures of 17 vehicles vandalized in Astoria. Many cars along 35th Street between Broadway and 31st Avenue were covered in graffiti. Oh, look at this. One of the victims' vehicles, the rear headlight knocked out and the side of the car was busted. So, this looks like a Mini Cooper. Yeah, look at that. Definitely looks like a Mini. 17 vehicles. And then look, the victim had to pay out of pocket to get $600 to get the vehicle right away. This is ridiculous. You know. And then look at this. Another resident, you know, it was just disturbing to think that your vehicle can get vandalized like that. I'm thinking, this is lawless New York City. This is lawless New York City at work. Alright, so let's talk about the fire that happened in the Bronx. So the New York Post covered it. I know Channel 4 did cover it Sunday night as soon as it broke. Alright, so here we go. Okay, 7 people were injured, including 5 firefighters, in a fast-spreading, wind-driven fire on a Bronx apartment building on Sunday night, March 28th. 2 of the firefighters suffered serious injuries in the 4-alarm blaze that broke out in the top-floor apartment in a building on West 183rd Street near Sedgwick Avenue in University Heights at around 8:10 p.m. FDNY Assistant Chief John Hodgins said, "The fire was driven by the wind. That's why it was expanding so quickly." The flames spread to 2 other apartments on the top floor and above the floor ceiling. Residents of the building were able to flee on their own, but 2 people inside suffered injuries from smoke inhalation. Smoke eaters had the blaze under control in just under 2 hours. So, likely I'll use this for my thumbnail. Yeah, it'll be appropriate to use. Okay, it says here, Hodgins said, "We had to work aggressively and we were able to knock most of the fire down relatively quickly. The cause of the fire is under investigation. 5 other firefighters suffered minor injuries and were taken to area hospitals." So, Marshall's probably investigating this. Okay, so let's talk about the bar fight that happened in Whitestone. So a firefighter has been arrested for punching a man to death in a bar brawl in Queens. And I will mention, Channel 4 and Channel 2 did an excellent job covering this over the weekend. But, you know, Channel 7, they're a bunch of slackers on the weekend. They are... I'm sorry that I'm bashing one part of the media here. But Channel 7, shame on you. Shame on you. Where were you on Saturday? Where were you? Because Channel 4 spent almost 3 minutes covering this over the weekend. Alright. Because I'm just mentioning again, you want better news on the weekend, just watch Channel 4. In terms of New York City. But anyhow, let's get into this. Okay, so a 55-year-old man was killed during a deadly bar fight early Saturday morning on March 27th. Firefighter Justin Uzo, 35, was initially booked on assault charges to the fatal incident, which took place at 4:02 a.m. outside the Terrence Inn Bar at 20-05 Francis Lewis Boulevard. And sadly, I know this area very well. There's a CVS over there, and then literally right across the street, there's a McDonald's. So that's literally right. The Q76 stops right in front of that area. Published reports indicate that the Uzo is a New York City firefighter assigned to a company in Brooklyn and was suspended without pay pending the ongoing investigation. According to law enforcement sources, the Uzo and the victim, Devin Deegan, 55, of 15th Drive in Whitestone, had engaged in an apparent dispute in the rear of a bar that eventually led to fisticuffs. Additional charges against Diesel are pending the results of the ongoing investigation. During the fight, authorities said Diesel allegedly punched Egan in the face, causing him to fall to the ground and strike his head, knocking him out for good. So again, you can clearly tell. Again, I know this area very well. They opened a bakery there recently? I don't remember a bakery being there. I remember the bar being there. And I remember the newspaper area being over there. But I don't... Yeah, McDonald's just recently remodeled. Wow. Alright, so... It says here, officers from the 109 precinct responded to a 911 call about the incident. Upon arrival, the officers found Deegan with trauma to the back of his head. Sources familiar with the investigation also reported that he had also gotten into cardiac arrest. Sadly, the victim was rushed to Flushing Hospital, where he was pronounced dead a short time later. His body was also transported to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy to determine the cause of the death. So, really, I mean, this is supposed to be a nice area, you know. That's what I've always been worried about in that area. Auburndale, Whitestone. I mean, Whitestone, again, that's a whole different story, but awful, just awful. And then we're going to go into this. We have two stories regarding people found mysteriously dead inside apartment buildings. So this first one is, let me confirm, yeah. This is Astoria. Okay. Two people were found dead inside an apartment building. Okay, here we go. So it says if two people were found dead after a foul odor inside an apartment building in Queens on early Thursday morning on March 25th. So, two people were found dead. One of the bodies were decomposing inside a first-floor apartment within the Astoria houses at 12:25 a.m. on March 25th. Officers from the 114th Precinct and NYPD PSA 9 made the discovery while responding to a 911 call about the stench at 1-05 Astoria Boulevard. The bodies appear to be that of a male and a female of unknown ages. Sources familiar with the investigation. It is believed that they are related, though the nature of the relationship remains unknown. Law enforcement sources also indicated it's not clear how long they have been dead. Their bodies were transferred to the medical examiner's office for autopsies to determine the causes of their demise. Police sources said there were no immediate signs of trauma to indicate any foul play, and the ongoing investigation continues. And then we're going to get into this. Because I'm just, disturbed. Disturbed to even see this. Cops find 62-year-old woman dead inside a bathtub in Murray Hill. Let's see where this happened. Unfortunately, I think I know where this address is. This happened at 33-71 Utopia Parkway. So let me look up where this is. Oh no. My worst fear has been... This is literally Auburndale. So they got that wrong. I don't know how they could get that wrong. This is technically Auburndale. Alright, let's move on. Okay, so the police are investigating the death of a 62-year-old woman found inside a bathtub in Murray Hill. On Thursday, March 25th, cops responded to a call about a woman in need of medical attention at 33-71 Utopia Parkway. Police arrived to find the 62-year-old unconscious and unresponsive inside of the bathtub. EMS personnel pronounced the woman dead at the scene. The 62-year-old had no obvious signs of trauma, and the police have not yet determined whether or not the death will still be investigated as a homicide. So, it says here, investigation is ongoing. The medical examiner will determine the cause of the death. Right now, because of the investigation, the identity of the woman is being withheld until the family is notified. So, that's suspicious right there. And then we gotta talk about a robbery in Ridgewood. Cops seek man who stole cell phone from a Ridgewood T-Mobile store. The NYPD is looking for a man who snagged 2 cell phones from a T-Mobile in Ridgewood earlier this month. On March 18th, at around 11:45 a.m., an unidentified man walked into the T-Mobile at 66-97 Fresh Pond Road. After scanning the store for a few moments, the man made his way to a section of the store where phones were displayed. He then took out a pair of scissors and cut the security wires attached to 2 phones. With the phones in hand, the man ran out of the store and fled the location in an unknown direction. Ongoing investigation, no arrests have been made. Okay, so it looks like we do have a surveillance video of the incident, so I will play it right now. You have any information regarding the suspect, you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-577-TIPS, 8477, in Español, 888-57-74782. The public can also submit their tips by logging on to the Crime Stoppers website at nypdcrimestoppers.com or on Twitter at nypdtips. The suspect description apparently looks like to be a Latino, possibly wearing a hat, face mask, black jacket, and apparently it looks like beige pants. Let's just make sure. Oh, it looks like army pants. Okay. Yeah, I can tell by the skin he looks Latino here. But at least he was wearing a mask. Give him credit. Nope. Eventually, these criminals are going to have to get smart. In post-pandemic, they'll probably keep their face mask. But then again, police might get suspicious when the mask mandates get dropped. Okay, so let's see what else we can get into. Okay, this is disturbing. We have a homicide reported in Jamaica. Let's read this. Police investigating murder of a Woodhaven man at a Jamaica subway station. Okay. Detectives are investigating the suspected murder of a Woodhaven man who was found with stab wounds inside a Jamaica subway station in November of 2020. On Sunday, November 29th, at around 1:45 a.m., police arrived at a mezzanine area of the Jamaica Avenue in Van Wyck Station to find 43-year-old Jose Adrian Argueta with trauma to his head and stab wounds to his stomach. EMS personnel responded to the subway station and rushed Argueta to Jamaica Hospital. Argueta died a few days later on Tuesday, December 1st. So they have confirmed that this death is a homicide. Even after 3 months after the death, marking 4 months on April 1st, there is still no arrest and there is an ongoing investigation. So, likely this is an incident still being investigated by Transit District 20. Okay, so see what else, because if not, we'll move on to the disturbing story in the Bronx from News 12 over there. Okay, I'm not seeing anything important, so I'll just move on. Okay, here we go. Attempted kidnapping in the Bronx, and we have a suspect who has been arrested. So cue the Law and Order music. Now, the reason why I didn't do the Law and Order music for the incident in Whitestone, because that is a different incident. You know, I'm not going to glorify, EMS personnel getting arrested. That's not the right thing to do. Okay, so here we go. Police have arrested a man accused of attempting to kidnap an 8-year-old boy in the Bronx. The suspect has been identified as Luis Tudito from Fordham. Police say the incident happened. Let's see when this article was published. Alright, so the incident happened on March 16th. News 12 The Bronx is told a 35-year-old woman and her son were walking downstairs inside the Fordham Road station when the suspect allegedly attempted to grab the boy. Police say the woman began to scream and the suspect fled the station. That's it. That's all they have here. Yeah, but they have a surveillance video of the suspect, so let's just put it on mute. Yeah, look at that. Caught on candid camera. Yep. So it appears this looks like somebody Latino wearing a Yankee hat, a black jacket, and what kind of pants was he wearing? Looked like gray sweatpants. And black sneakers. And probably maybe around my height, 5'7", 5'8", wearing a Yankee cap and a black mask. All right, so I'll just check AM New York because there was a shooting and there were so many shootings in Brooklyn over the weekend that we need to cover. In fact, many other incidents that we have to cover in Brooklyn. So I mean, what? I'm sorry, but what is going on in Brooklyn? You know, when I was doing research on this story, on these stories today, I was like, what is going on in Brooklyn? What is going on over there? Oh, okay, so it was a 4-alarm fire on the Bronx. Okay, so at least AM New York covered it. Alright, so we actually have something that happened in Brooklyn as well. And this is a connected incident in Midtown, it looks like. And then we have a hit and run on the Bronx. So since we left off with the Bronx, let's stay in the Bronx. So there was a hit and run that happened in the Bronx. Okay. Although the public tried to intervene in the death of a man seen walking against the direction of traffic in the Bronx, they were unfortunately too late. So, the unidentified person was dead. So this happened on March 27th at 9:12 p.m. at exit 12 on the Major Deegan Expressway. EMS and police from the 50th Precinct, and unfortunately, I know the 50th Precinct too well. Let's just say when my dad was a landlord in Riverdale, that was the precinct for that area. They rushed to the scene after a 911 call detailing the dangerous behavior was received. Declared deceased at the scene, the man had suffered severe trauma to his head after being struck by an unknown direction that fled the crime scene. NYPD has not released any details about what the man was doing on the highway. The collision investigations squad are conducting an investigation. So, I just don't get it. You know, what was this person doing on the Major Deegan Expressway in the first place? Like, let's look up this exit. Look it up. Okay. I'll try to pull it up in a second. Do apologize. We'll look it up. Yeah, that's University Heights Bridge. Go up a little bit more. That is West 225th Street. On top of Broadway. So I know this area pretty well. Because again, Riverdale is not too far from, again, this area. Here's Van Cortlandt Stadium. Wow. Folks, I unfortunately know this area very well. This is Van Cortlandt Park. And you see here, this is Mosholu Parkway. You're seeing this correctly. This is Mosholu Parkway. Because again, I know this area very well. You take Mosholu and it cuts right to the Henry Hudson and gets you right to Riverdale. My goodness, what was this person doing on the exit for Mosholu Parkway? That's a very dangerous street. You're merging multiple traffic with multiple traffic. My goodness. Okay, let's move on. And by the way, I know there's a you saw that. That's you ever in the West Bronx, go to the Riverdale Diner. It's pretty good. Okay, next up, probes continue in 3 deadly shootings in Brooklyn. So I'm sorry to give Brooklyn a lot of coverage here, but there are so many incidents that have been happening in Brooklyn that we have to cover. We have to cover them. In fact, hang on. Where was the one that involved Midtown? Where was the one that involved Midtown? Let me just confirm. I can look up Manhattan. Yeah, here we go. This is the one I was looking at. Okay, anti-Asian hate crime reported connected incidents in Midtown and in Brooklyn. Okay. First up, here we go. One of the incidents involving deadly assaults against Asian New Yorkers. First incident happened yesterday on 11:40 in the morning on March 29th. Where a man assaulted a 65-year-old woman in front of an apartment building at 360 West 43rd Street. So I believe I know where this is. What avenue is this by? Looks like this is by... I know this is Midtown West. Oh! Look at this. Right by Times Square. I know this building very well. Yep. Right by 9th Avenue. According to the police, the bile-filled bigot reported punching and kicking the woman about her body, knocking her to the ground, and then shouted a number of anti-Asian statements toward her. Cops said the perpetrator kicked the woman and stomped on her head multiple times before finally taking off in an unknown direction. And here's what's something very disturbing according to this surveillance video. An individual inside the building seemingly did nothing to stop it. My goodness. You know, this is one of those incidents where you have to intervene. You know? Trust me, I would have tackled this person easily. Trust me, I'm not that violent. Okay, so the victim was taken to NYU Langone Hospital with what police described as a serious injury. She was listed in stable condition. Officers from the Midtown South Precinct and other additional EMS units responded. On Monday night, the NYPD released footage of the attacker taken from the scene. He was last seen wearing a light-colored jacket and blue jeans. We do have a surveillance image. Okay, here we go. This got a lot of attention, actually. In fact, Liz Joe brought this up on Channel 7 last night. Another violent assault of an Asian New Yorker occurred on board a subway train in Brooklyn. This video was posted to TikTok and was made viral on Twitter yesterday morning. And I'm not going to play the video because it's just too violent. The assault happened on board a Manhattan-bound J train near the Kosciuszko Street station in Brooklyn. The video shows the suspect repeatedly punching the victim in the head before placing him in a chokehold, knocking the man out. So, just awful. 2 anti-Asian attacks happening in one day. One in Midtown and then one in Brooklyn. And especially how the one in Midtown is very disturbing. You know, the one happened right by a high-rise building near 9th Avenue. Okay, here we go. Says here, my Congresswoman Grace Ming, who represents the 6th Congressional District in Queens, said in a statement, "This vicious and cowardly attack is sickening and difficult to watch. The victim is beaten and choked so brutally that he appears to be unconscious. The rise in violence against Asian Americans is disgusting and unconscionable. We must all call out and condemn these brutal acts. The person who committed this heinous attack must be apprehended and held accountable." So, I don't know why Sarah Feinberg is calling for additional law enforcement. It has gotten to the point where it is time to call the National Guard in. I'm sorry to say that. But it has gotten to a point where we need the National Guard. Alright? You know, even get the military involved at this point. Because this has become a real epidemic. Okay, let's move on, because we have more stories we gotta cover in Brooklyn. In fact, I'm not even gonna read the daily news. So that will tire out my voice. So we're gonna wrap it up with a few more articles from Brooklyn. Okay. So this is where the media was absent this weekend. This is what they should have been covering. 3 shootings reported in Brooklyn over the weekend. So let's see where these happened. So 3 shootings occurred in a 24-hour time frame. Here's the first shooting. The first shooting happened in East New York at 3:51 a.m. on March 27th. Authorities said that Deshaun Herbert lived on Dumont Avenue, about 3 blocks away from where he was gunned down in front of an apartment building on Georgia Avenue. Police sources said Herbert was walking with several acquaintances along Georgia Avenue when the unidentified shooter appeared and began firing. While Herbert was wounded, cops said his acquaintances scattered and ran from the scene. According to law enforcement sources, members of the 75th Precinct and NYPD PSA 2 found the wounded Herbert at the location while responding to a ShotSpotter Street sensor system activation. A source familiar with the case said that ShotSpotter detected as many as 12 rounds possibly fired. Sadly, the victim was pronounced dead after a gunshot wound into his head. The victim was rushed to Brookdale University Hospital. Okay, here we go. Other shootings happened in the borough of Brooklyn as well. Apparently, we have another shooting that happened in East New York. Brantley Morgan was executed while sitting inside a parked Nissan sedan across from his home on Milford Street near Dumont Avenue. So literally, another shooting in the same neighborhood. 2 of them in East New York. And the media wasn't reporting this. We only have AM New York. It may be the Brooklyn paper. Alright, so this happened. Now, look at this. Broad daylight. Broad daylight. Look at this. This is what I got here. Broad daylight. Okay, so let's see what happened here. 4th incident of gun violence involving the last 24 hours. So, look at this. Okay. So it says here, Brantley Morgan was killed while sitting inside a parked Nissan sedan across from his home on Milford Street near Dumont Avenue at 12:58 p.m. on March 27th. The victim was taken to Brookdale Hospital, where he died a short time later. The victim was shot multiple times in the head and arms. And then we have a shooting that happened on Friday night in Coney Island. Okay, so it doesn't show anything regarding the Coney Island. Let's see here. Alright, so we have a source on Twitter, but I'll just read from this. Okay, so it says here, Raul Cordero was gunned down in front of an apartment building on West 27th Street in Coney Island. He was shot multiple times in the chest and died a short time later at Coney Island Hospital. So there are still ongoing investigations. But still, you know, Channel 4 didn't even bring this up. Alright, there were 3 shootings in Brooklyn in a 24-hour span. Where is the media? You know, Channel 4 didn't even bother to cover this. Okay. So we have 2 more we're going to read from Brooklyn, and then I'll wrap this up. 21-year-old woman arrested for allegedly stabbing a 14-year-old girl in a Brooklyn subway station. Okay, it says 21-year-old Bianca Lewis of Brooklyn has been apprehended and charged with assault and criminal possession of a weapon by the NYPD after chasing down a 14-year-old girl before stabbing her in the chest. So, lower on her music, please. Video depicting the irate victim and attacker inside the Sutter Avenue Rutland Road station has been released by the NYPD. The incident occurred on March 13th at 6 p.m. while the altercation beginning at a deli located at 11113 Rutland Road in the Brownsville area of Brooklyn. A chase ensued and the 14-year-old was pursued by Lewis, who then proceeded to commit the violent attack on the mezzanine level of the 3 train line in Brownsville, Brooklyn. NYPD have no motive for the attack and have not released a connection between the two. The victim was transported to Maimonides Hospital, where she was listed in critical but stable condition. Okay. So the good news is, on March 28th, the suspect was apprehended. A police officer from the 60th Precinct recognized Lewis based on a prior release of the physical description. So, look at this. So, I would have to think in this situation, since they didn't report it accurately, this suspect most likely got arrested for endangering the welfare of a child. Because remember, this victim was under 18. Okay, and then lastly, so this is just disturbing as it is. Violent creep in Brooklyn brutally attacked woman during a rape attempt. Okay, so this happened on March 27th. The suspect attacked the victim at 2:42 in the morning inside a building at Beverly Road and Rogers Avenue in Flatbush. According to police, the creep followed the 24-year-old woman from the street into the building and through the lobby. Once she got into the stairwell, police said the brute attacked, punching her in the face multiple times and slapping her head against the staircase. While on the stairs, cops said the perpetrator proceeded to sexually assault the woman, causing her to scream and yell. He then bolted from the scene in an unknown direction. Officers from the 67th Precinct and EMS News responded to the incident. The victim is treated at location for minor injuries. They have a grainy surveillance image describing the suspect as black. Okay. So that's the picture right there. Okay. So, with that, we're going to wrap it up. I really don't have any more energy to read other crime right now. You get the idea that some of these incidents don't get reported accurately by other media outlets. You know what's going on because they're so fascinated with coronavirus. But keep in mind, we're about to break a pandemic in a few months. We really have to focus on crime. Alright? Because the media has to realize what is the now. Alright? Remember, next week, every New Yorker is going to be eligible for the vaccine. That's 16 and older. And I understand that maybe cases are going to go up, but, you know, we look at it. Look at it this way. We live with the flu. We need to focus on this. This is a real problem. You know, we have to focus on the crime. I really don't understand how we don't have a statistic of a person in the 5 boroughs combined being the victim of a violent crime. There has to be some sort of updated statistic. That's all I'm going to wrap it up on, but you get the idea. So, see something, say something. Please. You know, you see something disturbing happen, try to intervene if you can, because, you know, there are things you should intervene and you shouldn't intervene on, is what I'm trying to say. So, with that, thank you all for watching.